Many thanks for staying with us and welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. I am Victor Matthias. Now, the Metaverse is a concept of a persistent online 3D universe that combines multiple different virtual spaces. Now, you can think of it as a future iteration of the internet. In this verse, users will be allowed to work, meet, game, and socialize together. Though it is yet in existence, some platforms contain metaverse-like elements, and that will be our focus on the program today. But let's first take a look at the trends in the past week.
Nigeria celebrated its Democracy Day on June 12th, and citizens took to their accounts to share their thoughts of what they made of the celebration. While some reveled in the celebration, others saw it as a time of sober reflection and a clarion call to leaders to uphold what the day stands for and correct the ills facing the society. The ruling APC finally held their presidential primaries after postponing the exercise twice, with former Lagos State Governor and national leader of the party, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, defeating many others to pick the ticket. He defeated Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, former Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi, Senator Rochas Okorocha, amongst the others, to emerge victorious. Nigerians and business owners especially expressed dismay over the incessant collapse of the national grid as it collapsed yet again as Nigeria celebrated Democracy Day. Though it is unclear how many states are affected by the latest grid collapse, the disruption is occurring for the upton time this year.
And there you go, those were the trends, but you can be a part of the conversation and tell us what you understand about this by tweeting at us via our Channels Beam, our Channels TV, at Victor_MBIDI, and you can also use the hashtags Channels Beam as well as Metaverse. But joining us to look at today's topic, we have with us Bofi Idiodi. He is an accomplished and energetic business development manager with a solid history of achievement in technology integration and education management. He joins us via Zoom from Asaba in Delta State. We also have Francis Jayeola. He is the founder at Stratly Inc. and a full-stack software developer. He joins us from our Abuja studio. We also have Malik Afegbua. He is a film director and versatile creative who is passionate about telling stories regardless of what medium these stories are being told in. Well, Francis kicks out this conversation for us from our Abuja studio. Again, it's a pleasure to have you on the program. But, you know, I pretty much just gave an intro as to what the metaverse is. If you could, you know, shed more light on that for us, Francis.
Okay. The metaverse, I don't like explaining things in context. I like to give example so that people can understand better. So the metaverse, just imagine you, the way you are now in your house, in your offices, wherever you are now. Whatever you are doing at this moment, that's the real reality that you find yourself. Now, in the metaverse, every other thing that you see, it will change, the background will change, the weather, etc., color, and the likes. In fact, you can go to the space, you can go to the ocean. So imagine yourself inside the ocean, in the sky, doing something else, maybe playing, jumping, flying, or even eating per se, or playing games per se. So that kind of reality, that is what they call the metaverse. So you can do all that from just sitting in one position. But of course, you need to connect with the device. Like an eyeglass, you wear it to your face, and then you can access all those possibilities.
Yeah, so that's the thing now, you know, so it's pretty much something that you would need hardware, you know, and so we're looking at the possibilities. You know, what possibilities are there? Apart from the ones that you have, you know, made that, you know, explained, yeah.
Okay, possibilities that can be there depends on which perspective you are looking from it at. If you are looking at it from the perspective of education, if you are looking at it in medicine, if you are looking at it, it depends on how you are looking at it, even for soldier, for military. So it depends on the perspective you are looking at it, the possibility. And then you can have the business people too that just want to, you know, see the possibilities there. So it depends on how. So let me just touch a bit. Like, for example, if you need to invest inside the metaverse yourself, you can get properties inside and then later sell it on. For education, you can learn things online and learned it in that metaverse that you can't easily get the devices. Like for example, now if you're medicine students, medicine and surgery, you want to do operation on a patient, you can do that in the metaverse without actually getting the real person, and it will look as if it will feel real, it will look real. So there are different opportunities, even for war, like for soldiers, there are different possibilities. Just the same way we have the real life opportunities, the same thing exists in the metaverse.
Oh well, I mean, it sounds really interesting. I'm beginning to feel that I should get one of those glasses or one of those hardwares that you talked about. But
Yeah,
yeah, let me quickly hear from
yeah.
Malik. Malik is joining us via Zoom from Lagos. Malik, Francis just gave us a little bit of a rundown as to the possibilities and what metaverse can be. You have a club, pretty much you know looking at stuff like this. What are you trying to achieve with this?
Okay, so it's pretty much me preaching a lot about the XR, and XR means extended reality. But before the metaverse, before we start hearing about the metaverse, it was all about virtual reality. And virtual reality is literally recreating reality anywhere you want.
Mm.
And yes, you definitely need a hardware for that. And the possibilities and solutions are really endless. So that's why I was trying to get as much people in the community together to understand this technology and understand that it's not really hard to get into. It's not really expensive to get into. It's just having the interest. Just like how we are used to watching our films on the traditional televisions. Now, the virtual reality, XR reality is experiencing all these things now. It's three levels ahead. You definitely need one of these headsets to really experience it. But the idea is you could preserve memories, you could experience things that you could never experience. For instance, I want to go to China and I want to see what a particular place in China looks like, and I can't travel. I could just literally wear one of these headsets and I'm in China already because you have the feeling, your brain tricks you that you are there. It's because it's on the 360 format, so that's how important I feel it is. Because, for instance, I'm part of the Meta gave me some money to for a project. It's called the Kofa Matter Dive Pit to create the Kofa Matter Dive Pit, and that's culture preservation. And the Kofa Matter Dive Pit has been around for 500 years, and now it's dying because of Boko Haram insurgencies. So that we thought about filming this space in a 360 format, so that way even when it dies out, we still have this thing in a 360 format is preserved. So it's really important that we look at this as the next level of communication, next level solutions of meeting, of everything, because the possibilities, literally, like I said, are endless.
Yes, indeed. You talked about how virtual reality is kind of like maybe the presets before this. Here at channels we used to do something like that. We still do it actually. Where we bring people using virtual reality from our Abuja studio and they appear in our Lagos studio as if they were right, in front of me. So yes, I mean those possibilities are also there. Like we're looking at those as well. But generally now the hardware or Nigerians being part and parcel of creating stuff like this. Like you said, you got a grant, and yeah, I know you were part of a team. You actually won a competition, a metaverse competition. How do we encourage people now to get into this space? Creating stuff in this space.
So because, like, for instance, the barrier to entry is really low. When a lot of people hear about tech, hear about the VR, the XR, the metaverse, they look at it like something big. But to be honest, with one of these cameras, you could create content in the virtual reality space, and this doesn't cost as much as your traditional camera you use to shoot films. It's just to have first of all, is the interest. So when you get the interest, you now realize how easy it is to be a part of this community because it's easier. It's more. You could reach more people with it. You could have more emotions felt through this thing. So just having this as well, that is cheaper than a laptop. You could do everything you can do on a laptop. So that's why we try to preach to everybody to say, okay, this is not as hard as it is. It's not as the barrier to entry is really low. So that's why we have the XR Club to get people involved, to get people together to come and experience it. Because the VR XR community, you have to actually experience it for you to understand how useful it is and how it's needed in the nearest future.
Yeah, we'll talk about membership because I'm beginning to feel that I should be a member of that club, but here I am. But I'll get back to you on that in just a moment. Let me bring in Francis back into the conversation now. Francis, talking about getting more people, into into the space, to create and do stuff, that can be done. Looking at the economics, the current economics, of the country, and people and all of that. Because as it is now, we even have issues with people, trying to get hardware, so to speak, now to get into the tech ecosystem first and foremost. And now we're talking about the metaverse. So what can be done to ensure that, we get people or more people into this space?
Okay, as you earlier mentioned, and he also mentioned too, like their bridging gap membership and the like. So something like this can still be done in the hubs, tech hubs, schools, universities, and the like. That the organizers or the owners of those institutions can like get those hardware, no matter how expensive they are now. They can afford that. Then put them in a room so people can get access to it and see possibilities on their own, and then the likes. Because most people now don't actually know what it is at the moment to have that interest, that vibe to go purchase a device like 300,000 naira or 400,000 naira at the moment. So they need to like see what it is, see how it can benefit them, for them to be like, okay, I think I tried it in my school, so let me go home and look for money to get it, or let me look for who could get for me. Because if you tell people to just go buy it on their own, they might not actually buy at the moment. So like a place where they can just come see how it is, see how it's good for them, the interest for them, benefits for them. They'll look forward to get it on their own.
Yeah, so it's good that you're mentioning tech hubs, and all of those spaces and clubs, so to speak, now that, people can actually go into. We have actually dozens of tech hubs across the country, some owned by private individuals, some owned by the federal government, and some by the state governments as well. But how well would you say, tech hubs have done in terms of even trying to get to incubate, maybe smaller ideas first and foremost before we begin to think about, moving to, even the metaverse?
Okay, okay. The hub themselves, like I've been opportune to like run some, be in some. Like you don't like go outside and drag people into the hub. Like come, come, come. Although you will do your event, you will do your program, you put your stuff out there, people should see and then come. But you can tell them to come meet you, but you don't force them to meet you. So the people that are interested in doing such could actually come knocking by themselves. Always be there, like, help me, help me. This is what I do. Showcase, send emails, do all those stuff like that to get their attention. Because if you are waiting for people to help them like that, it doesn't work that way. So, like, they should keep, like, okay, for example, now, if this thing that we're talking about at the metaverse that we're talking about now, even if someone go to a hub closer to them and they don't have such inside, you can advise them. You can be like, this thing is raining outside there. Why don't you get it so that people like us can come, and then I bring my friends and then the like, so you could suggest to them and stuff like that. So it's like the both party has to put in the work, not you expecting the tech hub to help you all the time. So the both of you have to balance together.
Well, we can't wait, to see how all of that will play out. But I have to say thank you for joining us on the program today, Francis Jayola.
Yeah.
Malik, let me also get your closing statements on this, in terms of trying to, get more people. Now, looking at the tech hubs, how they've been able to, first and foremost, incubate startups, and now we're looking at Metaverse. How do you think they've done, so far, just as we wind this conversation?
It's not always easy, especially if you're being self-funded. For instance, the XR club we created is free for you to join. It's free for you to come and experience it. We're not asking for money. We're just asking for your interest. Because that way, the more people that are interested in this thing, the more solutions you could find in this field. But moving forward, we would definitely love to have other people who are interested in funding, like the government. That way, we could build more. Because now we're not just talking about entertainment right here. We're talking about also solutions in every industry, from the medical to the education, not industry. So that way, it's more incorporated everywhere. So I'm hoping in the future we have more hubs, we have more clubs, more tech clubs where people could come around as a community and find different solutions to many problems.
I can't wait for that to happen. Of course, this conversation is one that we'll be tracking, we'll be following to see how this development, would play out in Nigeria and also around the world. But I have to say thank you for joining us today on the program, Malik.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We'll take a break now and we'll be back with another perspective. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us and welcome back. We're still looking at the metaverse and we have joining us now Bofi Idiodi. He is an accomplished and energetic business development manager with a solid history of achievement in technology integration and education management. He joins us via Zoom from Asaba in Delta State. So it's a pleasure to have you on the program today.
Thank you very much.
Of course. So, I mean, again, the metaverse, people kind of have, their own experience, as to what it is like and how it is for them. In your own experience and perspective, how has it been for you?
Okay, well, in terms of perspective, one thing I heard from the previous conversation that I think was missing, we didn't emphasize the whole metaverse is about presence. We've gone through 2D experience, we've gone through virtual reality, we've gone through augmented reality, and what metaverse is trying to do is bring all of that together. But the key word here is presence. With Zoom, which we're doing right now, we're able to participate or observe, we're able to observe things going on somewhere else. What the metaverse is trying to do for us is trying to allow us to experience things where they are. So in the metaverse, we'll be experiencing interactions with people, with objects, with spaces, with places. And I think what's happening is people are not really sure as to how this is going to affect their current daily life. So there are benefits, and I heard a previous speaker mention some of them in education. So if you're talking about training, facilities, for example, simulations, this is going to blow it all up. This is next level Zoom that we're talking about. So my experience with the metaverse, and something else I wanted to mention, which I didn't hear, is that everybody thinking you have to wear a headset to get into the metaverse. That's not entirely correct. There are websites which, for those who may not be able to afford those headsets right now, which are still coming out, you can go to a few websites. I think I know one of them, OpenSea.io, and you can have a 2D experience of what a metaverse looks like. So here you can start to see how you interact with multiple spaces, how you can move from one metaverse to another metaverse and use their own currency. Perhaps maybe you want to buy stuff with your own currency. And there's so much more going on with the metaverse, but the key word here is presence. We are moving, the COVID-19 situation has brought us to a place where we feel, well, if we're going to continue to work remotely, we want to improve the experience of remote working and remote interactions. And I think that's the key word here, presence.
All right, so I'm beginning to think, there's this game called Minecraft where, you kind of build. I'm beginning to think, is this something similar? I don't know if you know the game. It's called Minecraft. Is there something similar where you build what you want to see, you build the world you want to see, basically?
Yes, some of that is part of the metaverse. In fact, all of that is part of the metaverse and much more. The metaverse, like the gaming industry, has been our first introduction to the metaverse, but there's much more happening with the metaverse, and it's a platform. It's not. It's like the internet, for example. The internet is a platform where different applications, different softwares, different browsers, and so it's a complex system where the human interaction is taken to another level. Where now, instead of physically being present at a particular place, you could be present at multiple places at the same time. And the gaming industry has really taken this a leap forward. And those who are big in like the Minecraft and all the other games that are out there, they will have been the first people to experience some of what we are trying to achieve here. But what we are trying to achieve also here is trying to decentralize human interaction, where you would probably have to go through certain procedures for you to move from one country to the other country, or for you to experience certain things. We're trying to decentralize it. So the big tech companies like Google, Facebook, and Microsoft, they are making their own metaverses, but there will be some other ones which are unregulated or at least open to the public. And there's a lot to expect. So it's still a developing phase, and it's still so much more is coming up, but the possibilities are outstanding.
Yeah, so again, earlier during the previous conversation, I talked about the economics now of the hardware.
Yes.
And I mean, this can happen actually without robust internets. Correct me if I am wrong, though.
Good.
And I'm thinking, and I'm thinking, data prices are not really friendly at the moment. Also looking at the fact that the economics is not really good. So you perhaps might need, you might need to sit on a broadband pipe for this to happen.
Yes.
What can be done? I mean, with the current situation, how can this be a reality?
Well, you see, this is where governments can play a big role in helping societies move with the technology that's available. Because if we spend time looking at some of the benefits that we anticipate we will have from this metaverse, governments need to take action now to create the environment, and the internet is one of them. I understand that Elon Musk Starlinks will be operating in Nigeria very soon.
Yeah.
We hope that that's going to bring down the price for data because it's going to introduce serious competition with the current telecoms in the country. But let's see how that plays out. But you are very correct. We're going to need high-speed internet. We're going to need support services. We're going to need regulations because there are some issues with the metaverse also that governments need to step in and provide some type of oversight that will allow for people to be able to access those things. I heard one of the speakers talking about tech hubs providing a window for people to come and check this out. But there needs to be some type of incentive for people to go into this type of business so that the pricing, for example, for the eyeglasses, for example, there needs to be some type of government initiatives that will encourage people to participate in this business so that overall the cost of experiencing or maximizing the benefits of the metaverse will be felt across board. So I think, first of all, governments need to really do something about that. And then the private sector can come in and see how things can shape up. But the internet, if we get this thing with Starlink and the prices drop, that will open up new opportunities for many people.
Well, I'm optimistic that, all of this will be in place as soon as possible. Hopefully, like you said, and Elon Musk's Starlink is coming. We have the Google Equiano also, here in Nigeria. Yeah. So, hopefully all of this will crash the prices down and, all of this possibilities will be available to more people. But I have to say thank you for joining us today on the program, Bofi, and sharing your thoughts. Hopefully, in the nearest future, we'll come back and we'll be talking about successes in this space.
And we'll be doing it in hologram, man.
Indeed. Actually, if anytime you're in Abuja, we can actually do that. I'll bring you into this Lagos studio, from our Abuja studio. I promise you that. So let me know next time you're in Abuja, and we would make that happen.
That's fine. I'll be happy to do that. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks for joining us on the program again.
You too. Cheers.
Of course. Sure.
Okay. Bye.
Well, that's where we are with this. Hopefully, all of this will be put in place soon. And of course, the opportunities that are bounding in that space will be made available to more Nigerians. But that's where we'll have to wrap up the conversation. And of course, my name is Victor Matthias. That's the end of the show, and we'll leave you with the movie videos on our YouTube channel in the past week.
This week's video begins with the sentencing of 3 to death after being found guilty of killing Funke Olakunrin. It is followed by the donation of a campaign office to the presidential aspirant of the APC. Third place sees Vice President Yemi Osinbajo speaking to delegates ahead of the presidential primaries of the party.
That vote that you will cast carries the answer for the prayers that you have prayed for the future of our children and for the future of our country.
Second spot is taken by what seemed like a snub of the vice president by presidential candidates of the APC during the party primaries. While in first is Bola Ahmed Tinubu speaking in Yoruba during a campaign rally in Ogun State on the role he played in the emergence of Muhammadu Buhari as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Tí ò bá sí àwa èmi tí ń dúró wájú yìí tí ń lérí ogun tí ní òkè Buhari nìṣó ká máa bá lọ. Kò ní di president.